Boom, we are live Thursday evening. Hope everybody is well. Folks, this is going to be a good one. This is 4 years since the last time. So, mate, I hope you're ready. I hope you have your beers prepared because it's going to be dangerous. I think this volume of coffee is going to be a problem. I love it. I'm excited for it. So this is episode 57. All right. What's good, y'all? This is C Certified Brewhead, and welcome to episode 57 of Beer Nuts the Podcast Adjunct Series Quarantine Edition. This evening, folks, we have a very special episode, something I've been wanting to do for quite some time. But just before I tell you about that, we're going to get to the sponsor of this week's podcast. Once again, we are sponsored by Dr. Nick's Amazing Man Stuff out of Massachusetts. These guys, there you go, you can see that on the screen there. So they do essentially a series of beard products for people with beards. And instead of telling you about all the products, this evening I'm going to tell you about these two specifically. So this is their beard beer series. There's one that is an IPA and one that is a stout. So we had Nick on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, and he explained everything. So essentially, these products were inspired. This one specifically, the IPA was from Maine Brew Co.'s Lunch IPA, and the stout was, I can't remember exactly which one, but local big coffee stouts that they get out there in Massachusetts, and they use essential oils, all American made, nothing, no cheap fragrance oils. Like the actual oils they make this with, I think are worth like $150 an ounce. Like super expensive, high quality stuff they import from Hawaii, and all the bottles and everything are local. The little squeezy parts, everything. They're super handcrafted, which it really plays into craft beer. And on top of that, they're doing a series where they're collaborating is the word I'm looking for, with brewmasters to actually create a beard product made in the image of particular beers. So they're working with big breweries. They're working with Lawson's, Treehouse, Vitamin C out there. They're doing they're in talks with Hill Farmstead, Trillium, I believe. So big players in the game. It's super cool. These guys are exactly I like them because they're really craft beer. They remind me of everything that I love about craft beer. I don't even use this type of stuff, and I've been using these since January. And I've been loving it, man. Tonight, Nick actually told me specifically, use the IPA one with one of their beard balms, and you kind of put the IPA stuff on. You put this on as well. On top of it, the balm, and it just kind of allows you to shape the beard a bit, and it gives it some texture. It makes it smooth. So definitely check that out. You're going to hit the link in the description, and you'll see we have a discount code for 15% off BAOS21. It's Dr. Nick's, DOCTOR, Nick's, NICKS.com. So check that out. It's in the show notes on the audio if you're listening there as well. Mate, this stuff is fire, so spoil yourself or someone you love with a beard. Now, with that said, this podcast is something super special. We did the first episode with this gentleman who is literally a Quebec legend in 2017. It was episode 40 of the original series, and now we're at 57 of this new series. It's crazy. This dude changed the game literally with the beer that we're going to be drinking tonight. I'm excited and honored to have him back on. Ladies and gentlemen, Jean-Francois Gavel of Dieu du Ciel. Make some noise, man. Welcome, JF. There he is. Mate, so good to see your face, man. It's been so long. You're such a champion. Likewise, brother. Thank you for hanging out. I was just saying to you before, this is going to be our own little Péché day. Hopefully people can join us and sip along with us. So it's an honor to have you back, my man. Appreciate you, always.
Nice to be here.
Love it. You're a champ. So this evening we're going to be drinking. I have Tiffany here to be helping me out with these because this is quite the volume of beer. You have a few different the ones than I do, but we're going to be working through them. So you are going to start with a different beer than I am. So maybe tell them about. You know what? Let me pull it back a bit. I'm going to be going through the 2020 Journée Péché pack, which, as we'll get to explain why this particular event did not happen, but the pack saved our lives. At least we got to taste a lot of the beers. So the first one I'm going to go is the Sidama, which is the Ethiopian, am I correct, sir? Ethiopian Sadama Coffee.
Yeah, Sidama is Ethiopian coffee, yeah. So it's a natural coffee, so it's not been washed, so you still have some like the skin of the cherry on the seed, so it gives like a fruity character to the coffee. So it's so that type of coffee give like a fruitier version of our Péché Mortel.
Okay, so that's the main difference, is because it's got the
Yeah,
actual cherry on there, makes it a little fruitier. Okay,
yeah.
amazing. And which one are you going to start with, my man?
Me, I'm gonna start right away with the Mexican one,
Okay,
which is exactly from
from the same
the
pack.
2025. Which actually, yeah, like you said, is we were all ready to roll, and the pack was, there and ready to distribute, and yeah, the pandemic just arrived, and with the lockdown, we just basically put everything on hold,
Yeah,
and yeah, and we wait for a while before to release the pack through the grocery store, so at least people could get it. But we want to make sure don't create any lineup and everything. So it was like a time that everybody was kind of afraid of any type of gathering.
yeah.
But yeah,
Those are
so
early
so
times.
people, it's like the first year that people had to celebrate Péché Day at home. So
At home. I
and
mean,
yeah.
at least you guys made it possible for people to be able to take this home, and you have done this for the last, what, 3 or 4 years, maybe, with the
Oh,
packs.
the pack I think was almost 5 years.
Almost 5. Wow.
Yeah, kind of. I forgot the first year we did that, and the first year was really. Maybe the pack was only 4 years, because the first year we did the Péché Day, actually, yeah, it was like just basically like a small draft event at the pub,
Right.
and and after that we said, okay, maybe we should do a different version, and especially get the bourbon in it, and this is where we start doing like a special pack so that people could celebrate Péché Day at home. And if we had like 10, 12, or 15 different versions at the pub, well, people would have like 4 beer at their home to kind of see what the Péché can taste like with different version.
Which is, I mean, a 4 pack is also so affordable, and it gives, a nice little balance, and it gives them also a reason to come into the event when that was possible. But even as well, it gives people a reason to take some home and be able to capture that. So I love it.
Correct.
Cheers, my man.
Cheers.
Appreciate you. Cheers, babe. Yes. So you are drinking the Mexican hot chocolate.
Yeah, so I start with
Ooh,
the
nice.
Mexican one.
Okay. Glorious. Tell me about it.
So that you're gonna have it a little later. So yeah, so we for sure we bring some cocoa, a little bit of chili, piment in it, and pepper,
Okay.
and some cinnamons. But we definitely wanted to make it kind of balanced. Sometimes people would do it like a mole. Is, yeah, it can be spicy. You can have some cinnamon, but if it just tastes cinnamon, it's just overpowering the beer.
Right.
So we try to, and especially after a year, we still get the spiciness character, but the cinnamon mellowed a little bit more actually. And
Okay, good.
some people prefer a little bit more upfront, but personally, I like when cinnamon is more in the background.
Agreed.
And the cocoa just give like a second layer on the rose character of the Péché. We dialed down a little bit the coffee, so to leave some room for the cocoa, but yeah, and so we might do it again in future.
Okay.
Because it's been really fun. We still have some keg of it that because the thing is we do a lot of keg of this beer for all the bar doing the event, and most of them was actually already delivered when the lockdown happened in the US and in Canada. So people just they basically pour the beer, all year long. So especially when during summertime, people, hey, okay, can I pour a beer? Yeah, go ahead. So
why not?
Why not? The beer is there. It's good. Go ahead.
Can't waste it. So can people like? Do you sell growlers with the leftover kegs? I know you're selling, which I love, by the way, at the Laurier Brew Pub. You're selling like at the window there, and someone sits by the window and sells all the bottles and stuff to go, which is phenomenal. Can they buy growlers or anything of the beers on taps at all?
Yeah, actually, at both places we do have growlers, and we pour like especially in Saint Jerome, what we canning, sometimes we have a line for the growler, but most of the time we're pouring in growlers what we don't package. And in Montreal, everything we do is going to be pour in growlers, but also and then we're going to have some beer from Saint Jerome, some beer, vintage beer, and vintage Péché. Once in a while, going to have one or two line really to for people to pick up by the growlers. But we also start canning in Montreal, so it's a really small machine. It's basically a small 12-ounce can, so it's a really small machine. So and because the growler is nice, but the thing is, it's 1 liter of beer. So when people are single, they're two. Sometimes people figure it was a lot. So we tried. Okay, maybe we could work on a smaller package and a small can. So we started that, but the growler is still going well. So, yeah.
Okay, good. So people can still go and get these beers that we're going to be drinking tonight.
Yeah.
So honestly, by the way, this is phenomenal. This is so smooth. I see exactly what you mean. Without having a fresh, normal Péché to compare it to, I'm definitely getting that fruitiness is coming through from the other cherries and stuff. But it's got that classic, the dark bit of dark chocolate espresso that's that we want to have. This is fantastic. At 9.5, I always forget how dangerous this shit is, man. It's
cool. I know.
It's
That's
scary.
A tricky thing.
Especially Péché Day is the messiest day of the year. When we usually come, we always go to because we're around the corner from Laurier, so we always go there. The last time, 2019, we went to Saint Jerome though for the brunch. That was amazing. Because you got a 2-ounce pour with every meal. With every course, it was just it was a lot. And then we still went to Laurier afterwards, and people were it's so funny because it's the time when people get there, like you said, they line up at 10 a.m. or whatever. So they're drinking 10% stouts at 10 a.m. So we get there at 2 p.m. and people are it's not a problem, but they're just so drunk, and it's so funny because I think people don't realize how
it's a really funny day.
It's always one of my. I was just saying before, like it's one of my favorite days of the year because it's a beer event, not a festival, and there's the beers are just so impeccable and they're all so different, and the varieties are just out of control. So from the latte to the fruited one to the different coffee variants and things like the Mexican peppers and stuff, like they're just so unique, and you really can, you can, and they're so smooth. They don't taste like you're getting that drunk, and it's just such a great. People are so excited about it too, like really excited, which is fun.
Yeah, and even with the beer version you have, even if it was like a wash, like Ethiopian coffee, like a yogurt chef or a Sidama, it's still a coffee that, especially if you do with a more delicate roast, you always got some fruitiness from that type of coffee. But as it's like a natural one, it's just even more pronounced.
Oh, it's a natural coffee.
Yeah, when called natural, so instead of wash, the coffee is like a cherry at the beginning. So they go through a fermentation and they let it dry basically on the sun.
Okay.
And it's not. It's like the other way to do coffee is they take the cherry, and with water they remove the pulp around the seed, and then they make the beans actually dry. So the fermentation of the cherry give like a particular flavor to the coffee.
Gotcha. Okay, that is amazing. So then, and I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this, but I want to check. The variant of coffee in the original Péché is something that is kind of like a secret recipe. Is that correct? It's not something that you like.
Well, it's not. Well, it's a blend that we have with the roaster. So it's a blend of like a medium dark and brown. It's actually a Mexican coffee.
Okay.
And we definitely wanted to have like a more like a chocolatey, slightly roasted coffee. And since the beginning, we have this basic roast. We sometimes, especially year to year, we can have some variations. Sometimes we do some modification on the blend, so a bit more roast some year, a bit less some year, depending the crop of the beans. but basically we stick on this one. Yeah.
On the same one. Okay, amazing. Yeah, because it's something that I swear someone told me. They were like, "Oh, it's a secret. They didn't talk about it," and I don't know if I asked you about it.
Well, sometimes it's like a caramel, so it's nice to say this. That's a little secret.
Yeah.
but definitely the blend we have is doing it for us. So and because we buy Saint-Jean, we buy enough coffee that
they'll do it for
we
you.
have to call him and it's okay. I need a batch of my coffee and that's all right. So this is the way we work, and it's help also that batch to batch. The beer is pretty much the same beer. So
right.
It's also like for the special coffee Péché, we go with a lot with Café Saint Henri, so that's nice. But he's a really small roaster, so for him it would be really hard to supply the real coffee for all the production. So it would have more variation, probably batch to batch. So we have to. It's still like a small roaster, but a little bit bigger than like a micro roaster that you have to roast like several batch actually to get enough even
to make the blend. Right.
Yeah.
So with this one, the Sidama, this from Saint Henri?
Yep.
Ah, sick.
Yeah.
I love Saint Henri.
Yep. Yeah. So I was there. So I told them, okay, this year I'd like to do that, and so I've been to their lab. So we did a couple of tasting, and so okay, this is the coffee I want for this beer.
So
and
yep. I love it, dude. So I was going. Normally, what we would do, being that this is your second time on, in the first episode, if people want to go back, we did the in-depth discussion of your beer history and how Judicial came about. Do you want to talk about that at all, or should we just tell people to go listen to that other episode?
It's up to you. So I mean, the story didn't change.
That's what I was kind of thinking. I thought we might have more interesting things to talk about. Okay, so if people want to check it, maybe even just say that basically the brewery is 20 years old, really, right?
Yeah. So we started as a brew pub in Montreal, on Laurier Street, in '98. We opened in '98, and so I started with my business partner, Stefan. So I met him when I was doing my master in microbiology, and I was a home brewer back then. And but I was kind of saying, okay, maybe I should. I really enjoy doing beer more than actually working in a lab. So it was okay. So, but back then, starting a brewery was way harder than it is now. So, and that's why we decided to start like a small project, like a brew pub. So no packaging, no label. I don't have to deal with chef and stuff like this. And especially, I wanted to do a lot of different beer because back then, most of the brewery was okay. They do like Mikkelsen was doing English beer. Boreal was doing mostly like a blonde, like a red beer and something like that. Unibrew was Belgian beer. So everybody had this own thing, and every time they wanted to really release like a new beer, it was like a big thing. And so I was more like like a regular customer at Cheval Blanc. So I liked the idea was the beer was changing all the time. So this is why I wanted to do, and this is why I start as a brew pub, and quite a small brew pub actually.
Right.
And it took years before we said, okay, it's time to move on on a second project because we made a name of ourselves and say, okay, I think it's time to move on on a bigger project. Not a super big project, but like a bigger project. And this is how we decide to start the microbrewery. And we decide to go in Saint Jerome, so not so far from Montreal, but far enough from the brew pub. So in the city that there was basically no beer bar, no microbrewery, no brew pub. And we know there's a lot of people in the Laurentian, so it's okay. I think it could be a good spot to start our second location. So right in the middle of the city, and this is what we did, and basically start with the same thing. So with a big lineup of all different beers, especially with the Péché Mortel, it was already like a famous beer on red beer stuff like this. So, and we already had door open for the export in the US. So we're ready to go with this beer. So this for sure we start with this beer. But also, we do like a hibiscus beer it's still really popular, which is basically totally different of the Péché, a lot more easier to drink and pair pretty well with food. And we already had the idea to do sour beer, so all the sauces that they came out from Saint Jerome with like very sour, but really with a lot of fruit. And yeah, so basically this is how we built up Dieu du Ciel since 98.
98. When did Saint Jerome open? What year was that?
In 2007.
2007. Okay, so it's been a while.
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay,
it's been a while. Yeah.
Okay, amazing. So, I guess since we're talking about Péché, then I'd like to get the history of that and how that sort of started, and how that sort of grew as a brand. So I imagine it started at the brew pub level. It started.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Was it a beer that you started with?
Yeah. No. No. We wrote the first version like in 2001. The thing is that there was I love coffee for like forever basically, and there was like some coffee porter, coffee stout, but it was always like, well, maybe they put a little bit of coffee, or sometimes the brewer just call it like a coffee porter because it tastes like coffee, but it's just using roasted malt and roasted barley. And every time I was like tasting that, I was, I'm kind of disappointed. And I said, well, if I do like a coffee beer, you will not ask yourself if there's coffee or not. You'll know it. And so I started with this idea, and I said, okay, which beer could deal with a lot of coffee in it? Well, Imperial Stout, definitely, because they have more body. You have the alcohol to round up the thing. So this is okay. Let's do like Imperial Coffee Stout.
Right.
And then I start with this idea. So I said, okay, I have to find a good way to have the coffee and the good coffee to put it in the beer. And I start from there. And I was so I've been to a small roaster. One of the first in Montreal was doing like a fair trade coffee, Café Rico on Rachel.
Okay.
And so
are they still around?
They're still around, yeah.
Still around.
Yeah.
Café Rico. Okay.
Café Rico, yeah.
Okay.
And so, and I called them and said, okay, this is what I want to do, and they were pretty excited. I said, okay, let's come to the coffee shop, and we're gonna taste different coffee and try to figure which one would be the best for your beer. And so I spent actually learning about coffee and the roasting, because I didn't know that much at this time about all the process. I was drinking a lot of coffee and tasting different coffee when I was going to a coffee shop, but everything that was behind that, so I had not a lot of clue. And so talking and tasting like shot of coffee all the afternoon, and I came back to the pub and I said, Stefan, I found the coffee we need. So I was pretty cranked up.
Oh, I can imagine, Jesus.
So and so I ordered the coffee and designed the first recipe, brewed the first batch, and first day of fermentation, it was smelling so good in the brewery. Whoa, okay, I think we have something here, and it started there. We sold the batch pretty quickly. I remember actually just like it was just I'm not sure it was on the board. Yeah, I was coming back from indoor rock climbing with friend, and I said, we have to taste like a beer. It's like a brand new beer, and everybody was just amazed. Wow, what is it? It's Imperial Coffee Stout. Whoa! And it started from there, and people just quickly talk about it. It was like the beginning of red beer, and some of the red beer was pretty strong with people, and start talking about the beer, and people was always looking for new beer, and the Mondial of la Bière back then was also pretty international. It was one of the biggest beer festival around,
right.
And we had a lot of American brewery coming, a lot of actually Americans just going to this beer festival because they had a lot of beer from Europe and stuff like this, and people was coming at the pub after the festival, and it was going back in the US and talking about Péché and stuff like this, and it built up like a name like this, and
Right.
this is
Okay.
how it happened. Yeah.
Super organic. People just like the product. Okay. That's amazing. And it turned into the beast. So I want to continue that story, but I'm crushing through these beers. Which one should I do next? So
the second one should be
is it Cassis?
The Cassis, yeah.
Cassis,
the
love
Blackcurrant, yeah.
Blackcurrant version. So this is, you guys have been doing a bunch of these fruited variants, which is super cool.
We did the raspberry, we did the cherry, which is probably my favorite one, I would say.
Yes.
And the blackcurrant was actually an idea. It was like an idea from Fred Legal, who is part of the distillery Chemin des Sept.
Okay.
And he really liked blackcurrant and said, I'm sure blackcurrant should be good with coffee. And so we did some tests, and actually, you know what? Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
It works pretty well.
Yeah, it's not a super sour fruit. It's more like sometimes it's a little bit hearty. You have some tannin from that fruit, and you can so it can work with this coffee. Again, we use just a little bit less coffee in it to blend with the fruit, but it was pretty interesting. The blackcurrant is not as aromatic as raspberry or even cherry. So on the aroma, it will be a lot more delicate.
Okay.
But the flavor, you definitely go, there's some fruit in it. It brings some acidity and some tannin in it that is not in the regular one.
That makes sense. So there's only been 3 fruited variants so far.
No, we did the peach péché.
Oh, the peach? Oh, yeah.
Because in French, péché and pêche is basically the same word, so we kind of did. We did.
It makes sense. Well, was that recently? Was that a while ago?
No, it's a while ago. It's one of the first crazy variation we did, like a peach péché.
And how did people go on, man?
Well, because one of the things is, some especially the American, they when they say péché, they figure, this is peach beer, and they were drinking like coffee. And some people say, definitely get the peach in it. I said, no, man, there's no peach in it. Peach is in sand. And it's a peach péché. Let's try it. So I think we did it 2 years in a row.
Okay.
And actually, so it was interesting, but again, the aroma of peach is really. It's really hard to keep, I would say.
Yeah.
When it's young, you get the peach aroma, but it's fade out pretty quickly. But it give a lot of mouthfeel to the beer. You have some acidity. You still get some of the flavor, but the aroma tend to fade out pretty quickly.
That's a good point with peach.
In general, working with peach is pretty problematic. So
yeah, unless you use a shit ton of it, but. In this style, I can imagine you wouldn't want to overdo it.
Yeah.
It wouldn't really. This is fascinating, man. Like the fruited variants are always really interesting to me because it seems like not something you would think of to put, blackcurrant in a 9.5% coffee stout that's very heavy on the coffee. And it works in an interesting way. It's kind of like all of those coffee elements that you expect from Péché is still there, the bitter dark chocolate and that huge espresso. But the fruitiness, it's almost like a ramped up version of the Sidama with the fruit. Yeah.
Actually, this is why I told you to go with the Sidama first, because the opposite would be probably like a downward taste.
Yeah, it would be... Yeah, this would have been too much. You probably wouldn't have noticed as much of that sort of change. I really like this. I'm always like, I'm trying to. Is it kind of like it's like Black Forest cake ish? Would you say? Because
when we work with fruit and black beer is always the mind we have. So we say if it can work in the cake, why not in the beer?
In a beer, hey man.
So, but there's always like a balance of sweetness and rawness and stuff like this. There's sometimes we're gonna put a little bit less hop in this version. The regular Péché is not like a super hoppy beer, but there's like good bitterness in it. But when we do with fruit, we're gonna go on the lower side, because roast, bitterness, and fruit, sometimes it's just gonna be like a big challenge. It will not work.
It's delicate. The balance is super delicate for that.
Yeah.
So with Péché, so obviously it started in 2001 and it kind of grew on its own. When did the Journée Péché start?
I should look back exactly, but I think it's 2015 or 16. It's actually it's kind of the idea was basically from the Swans Day.
Oh yeah, the Cantillon.
Yeah, the Cantillon one, yeah. So the first time actually, when Jean, the idea was doing like a really small batch, and people was just buying it and selling back on auction on the internet. He was kind of pissed off.
Yeah.
And he said, he figured that you're gonna just do keg and sell it around the world and pour it at the same time the same day.
Okay.
And he asked us, hey, you want to do that? Oh, sure, I will do that. So I'll be one of your Swans Day plays for sure. And Stéphane said, you know what, maybe we should do something like that with Péché. And I said, well, it's a big challenge, but why not? So that's why, because we decided to do a couple of variations. We did it on a really small scale, basically just in Canada and maybe a couple of places in the US, and that's it. It's just the second year that we moved to like a bigger scale, and slowly go up to, I think last year we did it was 80 different bars around the world, something like that.
Jesus.
So
that's insane, man. Like, I'm talking you had it in Brazil, Australia, like all across Europe, all across North America in major cities. Like, that is a logistical feat. It's
a lot of work though, because we have to test our beer at the brew pub, pick up the best one, produce a beer, package a beer, and ship it on time to make sure they're gonna be there on time, not at the importer in the country, but at the bar, that can be like at the opposite of the country where we ship the beer. So so usually in January the beer have to be out of the warehouse for that. So it's a lot of logistics.
Oh, I can't imagine.
And we cannot just send like a couple of keg. We have to time this with like a regular order for of that importer to make sense. Otherwise, the shipping is just
out of control,
too expensive. So this is a lot of management. So, but it's fun.
No, it's totally worth it. I think that that feat in and of itself, the fact that you're able to get 80 different bars, however many countries that works out to be, it's like I remember when I first went back to Australia and I saw it there, like not even Péché, just saw Dieu du Ciel beers there, and I lost my mind. Like I didn't even think that Canadian beer would be down there, and it's so funny to me. One of the most amazing things I think you've created is that this beer is arguably the greatest coffee stout in the country. I think most people would agree with that, and it's $2.99, I think, at almost anywhere you find it, but you can go anywhere and the prices, because it's almost like we're so fortunate here in Quebec, or in Montreal at least, that all of this beer is so easily obtainable, yet for people overseas, even just over in Ontario or just over the border there in Vermont or whatever, the price goes up, and it's just such a sought after beer. You've been able to keep it so cheap locally, I guess is what I'm trying to say, and I think that is such it's almost like that's like some respect you're giving to the local market that helped you become, what you guys are today. It's like, you're like, hey man, here's the best, because you can't just buy the best coffee stout in the world for $2.99. It's ridiculous. Like, that's just so insanely cheap for, you know what I mean?
The direct distribution that we have here helped a lot too. So This is what we see from other places like in Ontario. So when we have to go through the LCBO or the beer store, they pick up like a big margin.
Right.
So that's a nice thing in Quebec. So we definitely like this system.
Yeah.
If you go in Alberta, it's also quite convenient. BC is like a mixed system, but in Quebec, it's like the simplest one. So
right.
I'm brew beer. You're a retailer. I sell you the beer. You sell it to the customer.
None of that. Exactly. I guess because you're not crossing the provincial borders, you don't have to deal with the provincial LCBO and all that nonsense, right? So it makes it.
If I sell in Ontario, yeah, it's almost like export my beer.
Right. So. Which is so ridiculous between this invisible line where you can just drive over it and it makes no difference. But as soon as you want to sell beer, they want to keep it for 12 weeks here in Quebec if you want to bring Ontario beer. And I imagine it's probably something similar going in there. Probably.
Say it again.
So if say an Ontario brewery wants to put beer in Quebec through their SAQ, is a 12-week period where they have to warehouse it?
Yeah, it's the same thing. So
same thing.
It's pretty long to get the beer on the shelf when you go through the LCBO. So here is I can the beer today and it can be in the store tomorrow. So
right, so it's as fresh as it can get. Yeah, which is great.
Yeah.
So then, if you started 2015 or so for Péché Day, the variants, I feel like every year they just got bigger and more and more every time. I wasn't around for it then. I don't know why. I just didn't know about it. Even though I've lived down the road from you for like 8 years. I remember maybe the first time there was like 8 or 10, and then now there's like 15 or 20 different variants, and then you still export like at least half of those variants. I see, Godspeed. Yeah. I know, you're good friends with Bim, and he always has them out there in Toronto. Because my brother lives up the road from him, and I know him well. So it's like I always make sure. I know my friends always go there in Toronto, and they get almost, it's like a solid half the amount, which is pretty impressive. I know we get everything here in Montreal, so we're the most fortunate because we can go to both pubs and be able to get all the variants. So you guys are going crazy with the variants. So like, how did that ramp up, and like how do you sort of decide on what to do? Are you guys just all like brainstorming in the brewery and just kind of like, all right, what about this, and just doing anything that comes up?
Yeah, well, the thing is, we're, I have, several brewers working with me too. So they can bring the ID. We try to exactly like kind of do brainstorm, but I have to say it's getting harder and harder. So it's because we don't want to do just like a crazy thing to do something new if it's not good. So the thing is to be relevant, and if we do something else because it's going to be good. And to be honest, we kind of feel, what, it might be a time to do like a best of. Everything we tried, that was, what, it was fucking good. And something that we tried is, it was okay, but what, it was just okay. So it doesn't have to do it again. So slowly, this is pretty where we go. And it's a thing to be forced to create something, and sometimes you don't get the idea this way. It's better to just drink beer, talk, and boom, sometimes you get drunk and you say a silly thing, and you say, what,
that's cool,
really good. Let's take a note. Don't forget it.
Don't forget quickly.
But it's how all the thing happened. But slowly we figured out, what, maybe we should just redo thing that was the best, because we don't want to kill the brand just trying crazy stuff. Or we could go with a big time pastry and marshmallow péché, or it will not happen.
No. How do you feel about, actually that's a good question, how do you feel about the pastry sort of thing? Like, and I guess obviously the answer is probably not a big fan.
Some people tell me that the aphrodisiac was like a pastry style, and I said, I don't really agree with that. So it's because there's some vanilla in it, the beer feel a bit more sweet. That's true, but the beer itself is not super sweet, and I don't we did like the Péché latte. We used a little bit of lactose in it, but just to round up the beer a little bit, and it give like a small personness of like a milky character in it. Yeah, but when people go with 5 or 10% of lactose, it's, oh shit, it's a sugar bomb.
Yeah.
So no, I have a sweet tooth. I like sweet beer.
Right.
I do a lot of sweet beer, but it's just like super sweet. So okay, I could like take 2 ounces and say, oh, okay, well, but I will never go more than that. And doing that is not my thing. So yeah, if I work with lactose, it's gonna be just like a hint,
Just a little.
here and there, because I can see it give a little bit of mouthfeel. Is cool. So, but over the top, no, not really.
No.
Not my thing.
That makes sense. The pastry stouts, I'm not even a huge fan of them either. They're okay. Like, they're kind of fun, but I wouldn't want them all the time. I do love lactose, and I was actually going to say my favorite variant of Péché is the latte version, because we have a stupid Twitter account called Team Lactose. Like, my friend and I, and we ride for lactose, because everybody, a couple of years ago, everyone was getting mad about lactose, and now everyone's getting mad about smoothie sours or something. So I never even thought about making Péché a pastry stout, to be honest. That's an interesting thought, but it kind of feels
I said it's the aphrodisiac that some people say
they want to do that, not Péché.
Yeah, and I'm not really agree with that.
No,
not just because I use vanilla is pastry. So
I don't. Maybe some people could say that. I feel like there's no real like definition of a pastry stout. Vanilla is not particularly, right? Like, vanilla is often a common component, so is lactose. But if you had just those two, I don't think it's enough. I think you'd need coconut or chocolate or some other fruit or something to make it a pastry. Technically, like you're trying to replicate a cake or something. I think
a cake, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, look, this tastes like a cake as it is, but I would not call this a pastry stout.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome, sir. I did want to ask you, what is your favorite of the variants of Péché that you've done over the years? Do you have any favorites, some of your, like, ones that you enjoyed the most that maybe you'll keep doing?
Not in general, but I really like the coffee variation, like the Sidama or the Yerga Jeff, or I really like. Actually, this is a type of coffee I like to drink. So and it gives some of the Péché I really like to drink. Yeah, it's probably some of my favorite variation I'm doing.
They really reflect that coffee.
Yeah,
I like that. No, that's dope. So then, the Péché, like I was saying, I went to I think 2017, 18, and 19. I guess I might have missed the first couple of years. And then I was looking forward to last year. As we were just saying off air, the lockdown happened less than 2 weeks before Péché Day.
Yeah.
And you guys were like, none of us knew what was happening. To be, at the time we were all like, we just came back from Vermont as well. And that was at the time where like people were starting to sanitize. There was no masks. You could still do everything, but no one really knew. And then when they did the lockdown, I think it was the Sunday or the Monday, which would have been the 15th or 16th of March.
A lockdown, it was a Sunday. Yeah.
The Sunday, 15th of March. That's what I thought.
When they closed the bar, it's a Sunday.
It was a Sunday.
I will always remember that.
Okay, good.
Some people remember the day they was at. For sure, I remember where I was on the 9/11. My parents always told me, you already remember where they were at when Kennedy was shot. Me, I always remember the day they closed my bar. So, what? You're closing my bar?
Like, what's happening?
I was pissed off.
Yeah, man.
But now I understand we had to do it. So I don't contest that at all. But yeah, I was shocked. It was, what? Yeah. This is my job.
Right? Like, what are you doing?
My life.
This is what I do.
So, yeah.
So it would have hit you guys pretty hard, and particularly for the event. And then you pushed it to, I think, April 25th, if I remember right.
Yeah, because if you remember well, we were supposed to close for 2 weeks. So, but nobody knows, right? So
12 months later.
And we said, okay, it's still going to be springtime, so hopefully we're going to be able to do something. And but after that we say, okay, I think it will not happen
It's not going to work.
in the way. Yeah. And this is how the beer was distributed. We decided to sell the pack.
Yep.
And even then we had even then we had a couple of complaints because people said, "Oh, you're gonna create lineup and stuff like this." No, we'll not create lineup. People going to grocery store anyway, so it just and everything went well actually, and yeah, we had a lot of beer in keg, and we said, okay, slowly during summertime we were kind of connecting kegs and the bar who bought our beer did the same thing all summer long. They had some keg here and there, and yeah, it was like keep going fishy day.
Yeah. It's all you can do. Tiff is saying, miss the DDC bar. Same here. One of our most the biggest achievement you can do in my land is in the summer is get a seat on the Judicial Patio. I think I've sat there twice in my life, and I've lived in Montreal for 9 years almost. Like, it's impossible to get a seat. Like, even during the best of times, like it's crazy. And that was like the goal. So we went there the other day I walk past it all the time, but I went, to pick up the new stuff, and I'd seen that. I love the way that you guys have been able to pivot and at least, since you can't use the bar, you can still brew out of it, and you can also sell out of there, which is always the one thing that pissed me off about Quebec, is that I can't go to Judicial and leave with a case of bottles or whatever I would like to after I've drank everything. I have to go to the dépanneur across the street to buy it. I think that's such a ridiculous law. And now, the fact that at least you've been able to sell your products from the window. Every time I walk past, there's always people there, just picking stuff up, which is very nice to see because people want to see,
Well, they changed the law about the growlers like 2 years ago, something like that.
Okay.
But one of the good things of the pandemic, they also did some modification on the law that now I can package the beer, I can sell it, and you can live with it. So,
which is great.
It's one of the good things of the pandemic. So
as long as they keep that.
Yeah. Oh, they will keep it. It's not just like a temporary.
Okay.
So they kind of realized that maybe they figured that it could last. This situation could last for a long time, or come and go, or they don't know. They said, well, okay, it makes sense that if the pizza place can sell a pizza to go, why not like a group up?
That makes sense. I know that you guys had the different license because you're a kitchen. You guys have a fantastic menu. So you guys were always penalized with not being able to sell the packaged beer to go, which always sucked. And when I say you guys, I mean everybody with that license. But if you went to a place that was just a tap room, they were always able to, they always had a fridge in the corner.
Yeah, if you have like what we call the industrial brewing license, you're allowed to sell beer to go, and we have like the craft brewer license but it was like a regulation that was designed for the Cheval Blanc in 87 or 88, so nobody could knew or figure what could happen. Just the idea of having a bar owning his own brewery in the middle of a city was kind of, we don't know. It could not be like a trouble thing, and other brewery could be upset of that, and so we have to understand the situation. The only thing I don't understand is why it took like 30 years to finally understand. Yeah, we should modify the law. That I can say, hey, okay, you're a very slow learner.
With respect to Quebec, everybody was a slow learner. I think Quebec was exceptionally slow. When we first started doing this virtual podcasting, before we even interviewed people, it was just Tiff and I talking. We didn't know what to do. And we were talking about it, and I looked into it, and I believe the law was from 1928. That's how dated the law is for all of these things. It's 100-year-old law, man.
Yeah, well, the roots of the law is, this is true. It's just, we never had the the prohibition like in the States, but they put really because the English Canadian wanted to have like a prohibition and the French didn't want. So finally, so there's like a referendum and it didn't pass because the French Canadian was against it. And so the Prime Minister said, okay, we did a good job. But every province can put a different, very strong regulation about alcohol. And it just basically modified this is old law instead of say, okay, you know what, we should start from ground zero. But the thing is also is, if you want to get elected, this might not be the the best thing. There's always people against alcohol, and so this is a bit why a lot of them don't go there. So they don't have that much to gain, and they might have a lot to lose. Right. So this is why they don't want to look like they promote alcohol. So even if
I understand, it was a complicated time, I guess, back then. Yeah. But it just sucks that in 2021 we're still dealing with the ramifications of a law that was made, 93 or whatever, 92 years ago.
Oh, it's and every time we have to go through and try to understand the law. There's so many lines, and you need to be a lawyer to really understand it. Yeah. And actually, you never know how they're gonna interpret the law because it's been some line been written like years and years ago, and there's a lot of this line doesn't apply anymore, and the other line says it's applying again. And it's a mess. It's pretty
ridiculous.
And But at least they understood that they have to help us to go through this, and they did a good move. So
the best they could.
I'll give them that to finally understand that I can now. You can go and come, and even when the pub is going to be open, you want to leave with some can. Yeah, there it is.
That's what I want to see. It's so. I feel like this is such like a particularly like because of my proximity to you and that you guys are one of the best breweries in the province. Whenever people came, because Tiffany's from Toronto, we have a lot of people coming to visit before all this. So one of the main places I took people was Dieu du Ciel, and it always was like I was always like they're loving the beer, and I knew that they would have taken some beer to go to bring back, even if they weren't drinking it here, they wanted to take it back and enjoy it and share it with people or whatever, but they couldn't do it on the spot, and I think there's a missed opportunity for business. Like it just seemed like a hindrance,
It was big time, especially all those years that Montreal was so strong with with the touristic business during summertime. We're losing a lot of opportunity, and so we're kind of sad about it for sure. Yeah. And during summertime we're pretty busy, but even during wintertime, Montreal have a lot of business traveler coming for conference and stuff like this downtown, and they were coming have taking a beer and say, oh, you know what, I will take a little beer to bring home to a friend, and it was kind of slower season, so we need that to
the sales,
So when the tourists will be back in Montreal, it will be really good for that.
Yeah.
So because it will happen again, I know it. I'm a true believer.
Yes, you're damn right. No, we'll get back there. It's just I'm glad that at least that something positive came out of it. That people can sell I've seen the breweries can sell food on say Uber Eats or whatever, and a lot of them are being allowed to sell the beer, and if you're selling wine or anything else, you can sell those bottles and stuff at restaurant prices with it, which Ontario have been doing for ages. BC have been doing that forever. But I should be able to order a pizza like you guys do those fire pizzas. I should be able to order a couple pizzas and give me a 4-pack or an 8-pack or whatever of some bottles, like cans to go. Like, why can't we can? Man, we're adult. It's so funny I won't run on about it, but coming from say Ontario and then coming to Quebec, one of my favorite things was I can go to the gas station, even though it's shit beer, but you can get beer. I go to the supermarket, I can get my vegetables. I can get a 4-pack of beer. And now most supermarkets have a craft beer section, which is cool.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So why can't I go to the brewery, the place that makes it, and take that beer to go? It's absurd. Like, I can drink it in the park with a packet of chips, but I can't buy it from the... You know what I'm saying? It's like the one ridiculous restriction of Quebec, whereas in Ontario, every single brewery has a fridge with stuff to go.
Exactly.
Every single one. So it's...
This is one thing they had better than us.
The one thing, but they did. Now we're catching up. We're catching up. Speaking of catching up, I'm going to catch up to you here with the Mexican.
Good. Let's open that.
Yes. So this is essentially, like, how much of the spice do you have in this one?
It's not super hot. You know, we did some actually pepper version of the aphrodisiac was a lot more spicy than that. And actually, some people find it like too spicy.
Too spicy.
This one is just like a little bit of heat, because we work with some ancho basically, which is not a super hot pepper, but there's a lot of flavor. Because we want to have the flavor of the pepper, not just the heat of the pepper.
Right. It's like that nice earthy kind of vibe in there.
Yeah.
I like that. So we're making sure we take the photos as we go. Content creation, it's important. No, it's great. I could even smell it, just smelling from the bottle there. It had like a nice, I guess, earthy vegetal, but like...
Earthy, a little bit vegetal. It's going to be a little bit fruity. But
not like...
This is the character...
It wasn't crazy. It wasn't like, whoa, what is this? It was like, this is... Yeah.
No, like I said, the version we did, the Aphrodite was really strong, and so you could have a glass, but then it was cold. Yeah, and I really wanted to go on the. I eat quite spicy, so I can deal with a lot of spice, but I try to, tasting the beer with Stefan, with my other brewers, we try to make, what is the good balance? So for sure at the Péché day, you can maybe have like a 2 ounces glass or a 4 ounces glass, something like that. But at home, you might share the bottle with somebody, or you might have the full bottle. And I want to make sure that you want to drink your glass. So
regardless,
for me, I could have a little bit more for my flavor, my taste. I could put a little bit more, but I know that some people say, "Oh, this is just fine like that."
Right. Okay, so everyone has their, particularly with spice, like people have their very specific kind of limits. Like, Tiff doesn't like spice. I love it too. I'm sort of like in the middle on beer and where spice should be at. It's an interesting middle ground, I find, with beer, as far as like how spicy can it be before it gets a little too much, and it's got to kind of be just the right amount, so it's not like, I don't know, do you want to drink liquid chili? I don't know,
Yeah, well, for sure, we also do like a peppercorn rye beer, that which is also same thing. Was find the right balance. The Route des Épices, it was also find the right balance. With the peppercorn flavor and the beer, so you could go through the glass and everything. And same thing, as I love peppercorn, so I could use a lot of it, but the idea was to find the balance. And we just brewed like a special beer for a restaurant, so we're using yuzu kosho. So it's basically like yuzu skin ferment in like in a chili paste. So it's a Japanese condiment.
Lemon.
And salt. And so this beer, especially when it's young, is quite hot. So
so it goes hot.
But it's designed to go with food, so it's okay. It's also how you figure the beer going to be drank. If it's Disney, you figure it out. So people are going to eat food, though you're going to have the fat of meat or maybe fat from cheese or everything. It's different if you just drink the beer. So
Right.
it's also what you have to figure how the beer is going to be drank.
Right. So it's
So
like
how
how
far
it
you can
fits.
go with the spice. Yeah.
Right. It's a good point. I mean, like coming back to then that what based on what you're saying now, like this is not what I would consider over the top. This is like a nice, like I'm aware that the peppers are here, but it's not too much.
No.
It's not burning in any shape or form. Um, you can kind of feel it, but not too much. Yeah, just a little, just the right amount, which is good.
It's like the limonade poivrée that we brew for summertime, which is it's like a sour beer with lemon, and we use a little bit of peppercorn in it, and it's a lot less than I would use like in the Road des Épices. And it's just like when you drink the beer, you have definitely the acidity of the beer, you have the mouthfeel, you get the lemon flavor, and then you just have like, oh, this is an interesting feeling in my mouth. So
Mm.
if I would say to people there's peppercorn, it probably you would, oh, what is it? And you could look for a long time before to get it. But definitely it brings something, because if when we taste the beer before we had the peppercorn, the feeling is totally different.
Mm.
So sometimes you don't need a lot to give a different experience.
Hmm. I like that. I feel like sometimes that's something that's maybe missing in beer is like that subtlety. Like these days,
Mhm.
everything is let's go crazy, which I like. I like crazy, but there's also something to be said for subtlety, particularly with something like spice or
Mhm.
peppers or peppercorns and things like that. I love that. I think that speaks to what you do. Like your stuff is always refined, well done, and I feel like if you went too like wild with all your stuff, it would kind of be like strange or off brand maybe,
Mhm.
because you do some like I mean arguably I don't know if I feel like the latte stout. I don't know if I'd seen really one before that Peche, personally that I can think of anyway. And that felt pretty wild to me at the time when I first saw it. So you guys do some putting Mexican style. I mean that's been done for a while, but you're doing
Mhm.
it subtle, putting friggin' black currants and raspberries and cherries and shit into a big stout as well. When you started doing it, I don't think it was pretty normal.
No, we had the chance to be there for a while, so we had the chance to experiment a lot of stuff. And
Right.
even when it wasn't perfect, people was kind of forgiving. So that's cool. But over time, yeah, we kind of we learn out of it, and say now I make sure that even if it's like a first run, that the beer is good. If it's not good, I'm not shy to throw a beer into the drain.
Right.
To just you know it's okay to do a mistake.
Right.
It's just not okay to try to sell it. So,
I like that.
and sometimes it's not perfect. It's okay, and you can pick up the comment from people and make sure that okay. And especially if you're like in the team, you can disagree. So, oh, I think it's good this one. I'm not sure. And then okay, let's see. At least you're always saying, oh, I'm not sure. Okay, not sure. Okay, mistake.
It's
Good,
okay.
and,
Right.
and take notes and do it again. But yeah, over time is yeah, definitely try to go more like you said with like a balance. And because I like when people want when they finish their glass, they want another one.
Mm.
It's always my goal. So it's just,
Right.
it's not have to be pints after pints. Can be just small glass and after a small glass. But it's just the idea of I know what, it was really good. I want to have another one,
Mm.
or maybe tomorrow. But I definitely want to have another one. They're just check and moving on. So
Yeah.
it's really what I'm trying. It's not easy actually. It's pretty tough to
No, I
do
can
that.
imagine. Particularly with the way people are these days, and everyone wants something new and whatever. One of my favorite things is always whenever I go to the pub, I always get flats. I always get a Buno, usually something like 8 different stuff. Because you guys have so many beers, I'd go there and I'd be like, oh, fuck, I haven't seen any of these before. These are all, because you have so many experimental brews at the brew pub. So I'm like, all right, give me that, you know. And I always enjoyed that experience. I miss that a lot, to be honest.
Well, the brew pub is kind of our R&D lab for the packaging brewery. So when I work with a new hop or just do like a variation of the IPA, so modifying the blend. So this is why I'm doing it, trying on the new yeast and stuff like this. And so on the menu, we try to just have like 5 IPA. We try to have like a flavor spectrum on it. And depending the season, it's going to be more sour and fruit. During the winter, it can be more bold and sweeter beer and stuff like this. But yeah, during the pandemic, we kind of shrink our menu because definitely just with the takeout, our volume just was way slower, and we want to make sure that the beer was fresh. So we decided to keep like a smaller volume and make sure the beer that we sell is fresh. And slowly we're gonna expand back our menu for hopefully opening sometime in summer.
Right. Fingers crossed.
And yeah, and again, we're gonna try to design like a menu that, whatever you like, you're gonna find something that you enjoy, and you can start your day with like a sour fruit beer and finish with an imperial stout. So this is what we like to do. For sure, the IPA was so popular. You can have many IPA and people just gonna go through it. That's all right to have like the full one on the menu, but as a customer, I like to go and say, okay, I can travel here on the menu. So this is what I like to offer to the customer.
I love that. One thing that did surprise me was I don't know if it was last year. I don't even know about time anymore. But not too long ago, you did your first New England IPA, which is a style that I kind of never really associated with you. Kind of what we were saying. I feel like you really do more. That's not true. I was about to say classic styles. That's not really true. I feel like you do a bit of everything. But I just didn't think that you would do one. And you did one. When was that? 2019, I reckon.
We actually,
or was it last year?
One of our first NEIPA was actually for a 20th anniversary in 18.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But we did other New England IPA, and actually even we had one on our last party, because we had the chance, luckily, to have like a party in September. It was for sure different than the crazy one we have.
Yeah.
Everybody was at their own table. But
super spread out.
At least we had something. So yeah, it's exactly like you said. I like the balance, and some of those beer are not really balanced, but they actually we work on one since pretty much September, and then all during winter we did several version, and it's going to be we're going to do like a rum test in Saint Jerome soon. It's pretty much like a New England IPA, but maybe a little bit more hoppy than, bitter than the one you can find, because I really feel that at the end you still need some bitterness to balance the beer. Right. That I will not change my mind about this. Even this can be super tropical and stuff like this, but at the end you need you need the backbone, Right. But yeah, they're really popular. People asking for it, so yeah, it's okay. I can do one. I'm able.
Okay.
But
so
mine gonna be the best one.
I like that attitude.
Okay. I gotta sound cocky.
Hey man, you've earned it. You can say whatever the hell you want, dude. You're a legend out here.
But I hope people gonna like the way I want to do this for
right. Okay. No, I like that you stick to the way you like to do shit. I think that's important too. Like, if you want to do it, you want to do it a certain way, and you make sure you stick to that. I think that's super cool, particularly for a brand that's so respected and been around so long. It's super important. The other thing, since we're just talking about like COVID and the way that things have changed. So for you guys, like, basically, I think essentially both breweries and the brew pub sections, because you do have a big tap room, it's quite large at St. Jerome as well, that you had to sort of close, and you've just been doing packaged and a little bit of growlers really since most of the, I know like last year was like open close, but
yeah, we during the first wave we basically we closed down for like I would say 5 or 6 weeks. No, not even sell growlers. We just said luckily in Montreal we established for a year, so we had some money in the bank, so we don't some places that had to run because otherwise it was even before any help was coming from the government. So I can understand, but for us we say okay, people just stay home. We're going to try to understand what's going on, be safe, exactly. Even in Saint Jerome we say okay, we're going to just produce beer and sell it through the grocery store. And then when the things was slowly settled down, so okay, so we see takeout in restaurants, and you know what? Okay, it seems to work. Okay, and people, some people say, I mean, I have to go out of home, away of home, I need to work a little bit. Okay, cool. And then that's how we set up our the go takeout. So, and same thing with the second wave. So okay, now we know the drill. Yeah. So let's go back to the takeout. In Saint Jean, we had some food for a while, but we stopped because our place is not really known as a takeout place, and there was other place in Saint Jean that that's their business. So it's okay. Let's stop. But now it's springtime. We're looking to fire up the kitchen a little bit before the pubs when they open. Same thing also. Just our staff they want to work. They want to do something. So just and I understand that in a way I've been lucky, and all my staff we were working. So I had to go up in the morning and had something to do, not just wait. So that made things quite different.
That's
and
good.
So and right now in Saint Jerome, it's takeout beer at like 3 or 4 days a week, I think. And otherwise we just we had the rebranding this year.
Which we're going to talk
maybe
about,
you noticed.
Yes, I noticed.
So it was planned before the pandemic, actually. So it's
okay.
But the time and the can was also planned before the pandemic. It just happened. Whoa!
all at once.
So, boom. So it's been a really busy winter. Switching all the label and all the branding, moving beer to can, and
a lot of changes.
Yeah. So, but we're happy with it. Our sales are doing pretty strong, but we definitely, there's a reason why I'm running 2 pubs, is because I like this life. I like running pubs. I like have people in my place, and I have a great time. And I didn't want just to run a packaging brewery. It wasn't my plan at all.
Right.
So I miss that a lot. So
I can imagine it must be really hard for that mental switch over, because I'm just making bottles and cans now, this was more of a bonus than the key business. I can imagine.
So yeah, so through the social media, okay, I can see people like my beer, but it's not like they're right there,
very different.
The beer.
Yeah, which is So then, the thing with you guys that I thought was fortunate was that a lot of breweries didn't even package before. They didn't even have a canning machine or a bottling machine. You guys obviously were bottling for 20 years, so you've got accounts across the world, import, and people's appetite for craft beer didn't change. So whilst you would have lost the revenue from the front end on the brew pub side, you guys have a very strong packaging business that you can fall back on in times like this. Whilst it's not optimal because they've got a bunch of staff that don't have work, and you are a very personable guy. You're always, every time I go there, you're always there. You're talking to people, and everyone knows you. And you're like, hey, that's, I can tell you enjoy that environment. At least you've been able to, and you can tell me if it's been as I'm on the surface. I'm thinking that it's been mostly fairly positive for you, as far as you've got a packaging business to fall back on to keep money coming through, to keep the place going, keep people employed and things like that.
Yeah, but for sure it was a great thing we had this part of the business. Otherwise, I would probably be freaked out. But in the same time, like every brewery had the same thing. So even if you have a packaging, one of the one part of the business that is pretty profitable is the draft business, selling kegs, because selling bottle and selling can is really expensive. The markup are way smaller, and in our case, the pub business was really profitable. So it changed our business model actually. So now we're like packaging, distributing brewery. So we kind of have to sit down and do our math. But it's been okay, and luckily our business in grocery store actually grow up because people couldn't drink at home, so at bars. So, but still, we have to think different though, and not alone. Every brewery that have like a strong draft business, even Boreal has been like they had to work on this part, and it's been like a challenge. But yeah, at least it's not just you shutting down the switch. No, it's okay. We have this, and like you said, we're not just distributing small specialized. We're distributing grocery store, and especially during the first wave, people was going out once a week, and the only place they were going was to the grocery. So luckily we're in Metro, we're in IGA and stuff like this. So we're kind of ready for that.
Right.
So. But we're looking forward to have draft counts and our pub open for sure.
Yeah.
But like I said, just the fact that in the morning, okay, let's go away. Let's go to work. It was like it was a really good thing.
Yeah. Some people, I guess, weren't as fortunate. So you guys definitely were well positioned for something like this, as negative as overall this thing has been for humanity and for particularly the hospitality industry. At least you've been able to maneuver, stay alive, stay afloat, keep things going. Like the profit margins obviously have reduced. That's what I've heard. It's funny, like every single brewery tells me the same thing. Like, yeah, man, we're selling more beers. Like we're making just as much money as last year in revenue, but the profits are a small line because
that's
there's more.
The bottom line.
The bottom line, bro. Yeah. So I mean, like. For the community, while it's not optimal, and you obviously the beer business, all sorts of businesses aren't making the money that they used to. The most important thing I think for the community is that you stay alive, and that when this is over, we want these breweries to be functional, and bars and restaurants.
I think most of the breweries gonna make it. That's a good thing. We have to admit that we had a government that helped us a lot. They've been really good for especially small business stuff like this. And yeah, people they wanted to support small brewery, and it's gonna make a big difference. So it would be like. I have contact around the world, and I know in some countries it's way tougher because they don't have the same support from the government, and even the market is running different, and it might be tougher in other places. So here, that's my feeling that most of the brewery gonna make it. So
I haven't seen
luckily,
one close down. Have you seen any close down?
No.
Same.
Actually, in Quebec, no. So I can't talk for the rest of the country, but in Quebec, I can say, okay, I closed down just because of the pandemic, and that's it. So luckily, slowly things gonna be back, and we might have we can even dream to a beer festival. Even as you said, you were a bit fed up of beer festival.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're gonna enjoy the next one.
Not even a question. I've been thinking about it. Like the one I was looking forward to most, aside those, so Peche and Fuduni.
Fully, yeah, I know. So me
Yeah.
too. It's just,
It was supposed
so,
to happen last August,
yeah.
and then they put it to this year, which it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
No, this summer I don't think it's gonna happen.
No, it's.
So
I was getting
maybe,
maybe next year, maybe.
yeah, maybe 2022.
Man, I don't want to talk about it, but like, I look at my friends and family in Australia, and they are going to sports stadiums with 50,000 people, and they're going to malls and stores without masks because they did it right. I just feel like there's something that we're missing here that we fucked up on, and it's kind of annoying me at this point because, like, you look at it's April, we should have had Péché Day last month, and we should have been able to go because we should have fixed this, over the winter at the latest. Whereas Australia fixed it in like over our summer because their winter's our summer. They fixed it over the winter, and I'm like,
yeah, but they did a really strong lockdown, way stronger than here.
Way stronger. That's the only reason I thought the curfew was okay because they did the 8 p.m. curfew in Australia too. But it was like, you're right, it was way stronger. You couldn't leave your house more than 5 kilometers. You had to have a note if you went to the doctor. You only allowed one person per household to go to the supermarket. All schools were closed. Like, they went crazy, and then they're paying for it they paid for it then, and now they're living their life. My friends are all on flights going across the country. They're about to open, I think next week, they open Australia to New Zealand flights. And my friend told me that and he said that it's sold out. It was the fastest selling flights in history, like as far as going between the two countries, because it's the only place that you can go. So it's disheartening, being that I'm seeing that, all of us are seeing that, and we're like, man, we could be having this, and we're just missing out on so much. I was so hoping that this summer was going to be it, but then now I'm looking at the numbers. Ontario with nearly 5,000 cases today. It was 4,700, and Quebec was like 1,600 or 1,800 or something. It's like, fuck, man. Like, what are we doing? We have to just get it together, because it's like, I don't know. It's just, I'm sure, even like, forget everybody else. Like, I feel like this means more to business owners like yourself who rely on this to be fixed so that we can actually sit at the very least, give us a Judicial Patio and let it extend the whole street. And fuck, man. It's frustrating.
Well, I'm looking at the number in the UK with the vaccination, and because we're gonna get there.
I hope so. I just feel like Australia and New Zealand, like, I think the vaccine is going to be great and it's going to help, but Australia and New Zealand got there without the vaccine. They're only getting it slower. So they did this long before the vaccine existed. They were doing this since like September, and it's April.
But the thing, if they stay in their world, like forever, it's going to be okay. But if nobody
comes in,
immunity.
That's a good point. But at the very least, we get to the point where we can live, like, and then we have to figure out the next step, which is how do we make it work with travel. Then that's another conversation. But I feel like we can at least fix it internally, but they haven't got to that point. I'm sure I'm probably missing something, but I'm just I think about it and talk about it with people every single day, and I'm just frustrated. I just want to see, I walk down Saint Laurent or Park Avenue and half the businesses are closed, and it's sad. Man.
It's really sad. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah,
but
we're gonna keep the faith, I guess, and hope that whether it's the people or the government, that we do the right thing. And
I always try to look where the planes are going. Yeah. I have no choice, otherwise.
No, we'll go crazy. Yeah, that's it, man. Yes.
Beer gonna save us.
The beer is gonna save us. So I'm about to do the next one. Since you brought it up, I know I'm gonna do the next one is the bourbon from the pack, which is the final one from the pack, and then we're gonna do the bourbon from the new pack. But you mentioned it. Do you want to talk about the rebrand? Because this is one of the things. It was very controversial rebrand because you are one of the most beloved breweries in the country. So changing the existing beautiful branding you have with the artwork, I can imagine would be just touchy. You basically were, it's like you couldn't win whatever you did. So I'd love to hear it from your mouth, specifically why you decided to rebrand, how that thought process was, how the response was. Did you expect that response?
Yeah, well, the thing is, it started actually from, there's like a few of our old label that we wanted to change.
Okay.
And we also like had like some of the new beer, like the Laser Lager, and the design was totally different from what we did before.
Okay.
And Leila, which is our brand director, I would say, she said it was getting harder and harder to be. It's important to have a product that when you're on the shelf, people recognize you right away.
Yes.
Especially now, there's so many breweries, and this is when we were looking for changing a couple of the label. It was hard to see something that was fitting in it and say, okay. And even the logo, we wanted to make sure that people recognize Dieu du Ciel right away. And our old logo was kind of hard to work with and to put like right away in front. And this is everything started from there. And so okay, and so we should do like a total rebranding. And me was, oh no. And no, even the old angel, the angel we had on the old beer cap.
Yeah.
This is my original logo that a friend gave me when I was home brewer. So I'm so I have a feeling about this logo, and even the new not the new one, but the old new one, or the new old one.
Yeah.
I liked it, but I realized, okay, let's try something, and we started the process, and we kind of realized over the process that even if I wanted to keep some of the old graphic we had, it was pretty hard to work with the new visual. And this is how I said, okay, you know what? We might to totally change like the modality to a different illustration. And so, okay. And to a point, we decide to, if we have to do like, to change, don't go, it's go big or go home, Otherwise, even if you do a small change, people will not be happy anyway. So
you can't win. Yeah.
If you have to change, do it, and then you start with like a new way. There's a line that we keep it like the Grand Classique. So we keep some of our really nice old label that we like, but we decide to. I would say the Péché Mortel was kind of, maybe we could keep the old one, but we did some trials. Okay, maybe that doesn't work with the new label. So even this one, we decide to, for sure, we keep the snake, but the illustrator that we work with is have a different signature than Yannick, like the first illustrator we work with. And is the way we decide to do it. And like you said, yeah, it was when we released that, it was a long night.
I bet.
Yeah. And you kind of freak out. Oh shit, maybe we did a bad move. But people were angry. Always talk louder than people that are happy. So
loud minority.
But yeah. But we understand that some people don't like it. It's all right. Some people are sad to do some of the visual. I understand too. I'm sad too. So, but yeah, we had to do a move, and actually, if I look at myself, I think it was a good move. That's all I can say about that.
As long as you're happy. So it was Layla's fault, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, it's always our fault.
Sorry, Layla.
I hope she's not listening. No,
I hope I'll message her later.
She just texts me.
She's texting. She's like, "Shut up, JF." No, I mean it's an interesting thing. When I saw more of the response before I even saw it, to take it in, to see how I felt myself. If you guys weren't who you were, I don't think it'd be as big a deal. But you're changing something that people have known for 20 plus years, 23 years.
Yeah.
And you've made the greatest coffee stout in the country that you've made a day out of, that's a worldwide day equivalent to Swansea Day. I mean, like, you're touching a lot of, beer people are sticky with, the purists particularly, with things that they love. And when you mess with things they love, I imagine that hits some spots for them. So they're like, even though objectively this is modernizing the brand, I guess they feel like you're fucking with something that they like. This is my beer, man. What are you doing? Why are you I can understand it for sure.
Some people took it really personal, so more than me.
Well, you're like, dude, it's my shit. Like,
but yeah, I can understand. So
yeah.
And some comments is okay. I don't like this, and this isn't my style. But when people say it's ugly, what do you know about graphic?
That's ugly is not a word I would associate with it. It's very it's just modernized. Like, I'm just looking at the two. I saw it, but I've never stared at it. And looking at I've got the two bottles in front of me. It's just it's different. But sometimes you need to update branding to come into the modern era. And I think one thing that maybe, and tell me what you think about this, I imagine it's the bright yellow choice, particularly in the in the logo, that might have been people like, yellow, like, you look at this and there's nothing yellow on it, and then it's like gray, and you see this and it's all this bright yellow. So it might be a little disarming for people to see this bright lemon color on the beer that they associate so strongly. Like, friends of mine, Noah Forrest, Noah from Beerism, he's got every variant you've ever released of everything. He is the Dieu du Ciel, like, dictionary. Like, he knows everything about your shit. So, like, there's people that are probably like him that have cellars full of your stuff. And then they're looking at this, and their association is so closely tied in with the old branding that it's hard for them to just understand that brands need to move on sometimes,
Because one of the things, our old branding was working pretty well with the type of name that we were using, quite related to religion, of mythic or history, stuff like this. But with the new name we have, is we kind of in French we say make the tour du jardin. So we can we kind of exploit that theme, and we slowly moving away with new name that is different, and it was hard to fit it with the old branding. And it starts from there. So yeah, after and I would say all the imagery and the branding of the craft brewery changed over 20 years. Not just us. If you look the new brewery, they're going on a different path than New Brewery was doing. So, and it's normal, So, so that's why and it's when I say it often, Dieu du Ciel, it's a teamwork. I'm responsible to design most of the beer, but it's a teamwork to make it better with the comment and suggestion and everything. But the branding, Leila, is all she did a fantastic work. So I'm not the designer, I'm not the illustrator.
Did Layla design this?
No, she didn't design, but
she coordinated.
Exactly. So, but and you have to trust people who that's their job. They know better than you in that field. They study in that. They know people in that. So all right, I'll trust you.
Yeah.
So
I was going to ask then. Layla is so lovely. She's one of my favorite people in beer. She's just such a nice young lady. How did she take the very critical feedback from the vocal minority in the community, being that, I feel like she's like so nice. Like, how did she take that?
To be honest, I think she took it better than me.
She did. Oh, she was like, whatever. Okay.
Well, well, that's a question we should ask her, but this is the
I'd
feeling I
love
had
to.
because when I was reading that, I was kind of, oh shit, and I was kind of hurt, but for me, but also for her because it was kind of her project, and actually that's the other thing because she probably is she saw the other rebranding she saw and says, well, that I think it was a bit louder than she expects, but she was trusting what she did. This is my feeling. But yeah, I came to write her during the evening. I called her right away in the morning because I was kind of
A bit worried
worried.
about it. Like, hey,
I said,
are you okay?
and she said, well, people coming, but they don't know shit about branding and stuff like that.
That's what she said?
Well, basically, yes.
That's gangster. Yeah.
So it's just I think she kind of was expecting that it was like a strong reaction, and
Right.
it was planned because we knew that we were going away,
And changing a big thing.
changing big things. So we knew that we had some, and we even when we showed the new branding to our staff, our rep, and stuff like that, we had
What
like
did
a
they say?
mixed feeling.
Mixed feeling?
Well, some people were really, tie and into the old branding, and some people say, "Oh, you know what? Yeah, I can see it on shelf. It's going to be great."
Okay.
So
it's a bit of a mix.
it was a mix, and it's still a mix, to be honest.
I mean, like, yeah. What can you do at this point, though? Like, it's like you said. You sometimes. I mean, did you get bored of the old branding, or did people get bored of it and just want that change, or like?
I wasn't bored myself. It's just some label I was ready to change it, but it's just we had to do something that was working together, and also we had to figure we're gonna with the market now is you will not sit on the same 10 beer for forever, so we're gonna have to bring new beer.
Yeah.
And you're gonna be able to fit in the branding. So it was also like a need to create something that we can easily bring new beer into that branding, and the old branding was hard to get new label and new brand and new beer into it. So it was also that something that if there's something that changed over the years is how fast you have to bring new beer, and year to year your portfolio can change a lot.
Right.
So
no, it makes sense. And you did all that. I mean, like, I know you. This is the 2021 Journée Péché pack right here, which we're going to do next anyway. Which was just the one beer this year, the bourbon. Which, to be honest, I love the variant. I really genuinely do, but the bourbon's always my favorite. It's exceptional. Speaking of that, while you were talking, I just cracked open the 2019, or I guess it was a 2020 pack, but it's a 2019 bourbon.
Yeah, we usually package the beer like in late December or something like that.
Yeah.
So
this one's fantastic, man. I just love it. It's just exceptional. Like, it's so smooth. It's so subtle. Tell me your thoughts on this one.
Yeah. Well, the reason why this year we decided to do like our 4-pack Péché Day was just because with the pub mostly closed, we couldn't work on new variation or new recipe.
That's right.
And for sure we couldn't plan like any Péché Day with draft and stuff like this. So we figured out, you know what? Let's do this year just like you said, most of the people say, oh, they want the bourbon. All right.
Right.
Let's do
Let's give it
do big and like a 4-pack of bourbon. And this is what we did. And every year it's always the same. I like bourbon beer when you don't feel to drink a shot of bourbon into a beer. I like when you feel that this beer that's been aged.
Keep talking.
It is really what I'm looking for. So
okay.
always balance the beer with some fresh beer into it to bring back some bitterness most of the time. But we're gonna taste the beer, and if the bourbon is like just too strong and upfront, yeah, we're gonna bring a little bit more fresh beer to make sure it's well balanced. Especially if you're getting the heat from the alcohol. I don't like this at all. So I really try to make sure you have a right balance and you don't get the alcohol in it. Even it's quite a strong beer.
Okay. How long is it?
How long we?
How long is it?
It's usually it's it's been changing over the years. It's roughly about 7 to 9 months.
Oh wow!
Depending. Yeah, we did longer, and we realized that longer wasn't really better.
7
but
to 9 months, eh?
Yeah. Long passage, and you're gonna get some of the vanilla character really quickly, but you're missing some of the complexity. I think this is what. And when I did up to 12 months, and I realized, you know what, you're losing some of the vanilla character, too much of the wood. So now that's why we nail it down more between 7 and 9 months.
Okay, that's perfect. And what kind of barrels are they aged in? For people who are wondering, is it like a specific bourbon brand?
We did over the years. Years ago when we were just happy when you could get a fresh bourbon barrel. So, and later it was possible to basically order barrels from most of the big distillers in the U.S. So we tried most of them, and we realized over time that the one that we really like to work with is the Heaven Hill and Buffalo Trace.
Okay.
I don't say they do the best bourbon on the planet. It's not what I'm saying, but I'm saying the beer that we age in those barrels give a really good result.
I love that. Do you know which barrel each year is, like say for the 2019, is that in a or is it a mix of barrels?
It's a blend, yeah. Usually we're gonna order half and half and blend, yeah.
Okay.
Because they do have a little bit different character. That one's gonna be a bit more 40 euros, and the one can be a bit more on vanilla, and we can realize that a blend of both is the best for us.
Okay.
So now we basically stick to those distillers for
that makes sense.
Doing our bourbon.
Okay, I love that. I was going to ask you what your favorite year was. We did episode 40 for the podcast, so we were pretty young back then, as far as maybe 2 years old as far as the podcast. Episode 55, I just met Noah Forrest from Beerism, who's now one of my close friends, and he came over and he brought a vertical. I'd never done a vertical before, and he brought a vertical of Iseki Nicho. So we did, at the time it was 2017, so we did 2013, 14, 15, and 16, and at the time 2017 hadn't been out. So he said he had 2 more, but he had to drive later and he thought we'd get too drunk, and so we just did those 4, and it was my first ever vertical I ever did. And I started to understand a little more about the complexity of what that means to do a vertical, and the way beer changes over time. So I'd be curious that at this particular point, do you have a favorite year of the bourbon? And I imagine bourbon's the oldest variant of Péché, is that correct?
It is, yeah.
It is. Do you, and I know that this question probably would change depending on, if I ask you next year, it might be a different answer. Do you have a favorite year for the bourbon that you were like, oh my God, this year? And even like if you drink it, if you cracked open a 2013 right now, you'd lose your mind because, you know what I mean? Like, is there a year that's like, wow, that's the one?
I would say that the 19, actually, the one you have, that's been released in 2020. It was a really good year.
That's a good one. I'm loving this
really
one.
good year.
Okay.
The next one you're gonna have, you're gonna have a bit more like of the old character in it.
Okay. This is
Of
subtle. Okay. I actually have a question as well on that. So this bottle actually says it was bottled on the 5th of January 2021. Does that make it a 21 or a 20?
That's something we try to clarify. So you like the beer is always
made in 2020.
So we talk when we put the year, this year with the pandemic, actually, like I said, most of the time we package the bourbon more in late November or early December, and the beer is ready to be shipped, distributed for the Péché Day that happened the year after.
Oh, yeah.
And when we said like the one that been bottled in 19, been released in 20, and we called it the Bourbon 2020.
Right.
And this year we had more time, and we didn't have to package the beer for the shipping. So we waited until January to package the bourbon in 21 for the release of 21.
Okay. But this is still considered a 2020 or 2021?
This one's going to be a 21.
21. So then this is 19 or 20?
20.
Oh, fuck. Okay. Hold up. Let me make sure I get that right. Because my understanding was that it had you basically, just because I'm doing the reviews as we're talking, because I only have one bottle of these ones, but I thought that the way that it worked was the year that was on the bottle was the year that it was packaged or whatever, and then that reflected even though it was released in 2020, it was still the 2019.
No, we know that it's always been confusing because the time we were packaging the beer was always changing, and it's been time, especially before the Péché Day, we released the beer like randomly, we could say. But with the Péché Day, it's been kind of okay. We released the bourbon for the Péché Day, which is always around March of that year, and we called it. This is the vintage. No, 18, 19, 20, yeah. But that's something we didn't have to work on it for this release, because with the new branding we had a lot of work. But in the future, it's going to be more how we called it. But we always make sure that we always been very transparent. We say when we package the beer, even the time of the day when the bottle was in the filler. So I know it was kind of, but for us it's more like a vintage.
Gotcha.
But we know it's pretty confusing. We try to clarify that. Actually, Layla's trying to clarify.
Layla's got all the hard jobs, eh? Poor thing. Oh, it's crazy. Okay, she's the best.
She's doing a great job.
Yeah, she's doing great. She's awesome. Okay, that makes more sense because I was never really sure. But yeah, it's just so it's so smooth. I love it. I feel like this one, if you did a vertical of something like this, it would change. I think I still have one from whatever, a year or two before this one. I don't even know anymore.
We tried like last year we found some bottles from 2012 and 13, and was still really good. I was kind of surprised. Yeah, I was maybe kind of fade out a little bit, and no, we were just okay, still really
I love
good.
That.
But for me, I love my preference would say I usually drink it between 6 and 18 months after packaging.
Okay, that's a good time to drink it, 16 to 18 months.
This is where I like it. After that, I have too much beer in my cellar anyway. So it's,
of course, it's like whatever.
And we're surprised. Oh, this is really good. But when I feel, because when it's aging, the hop's gonna fade away slowly, and I like some of the hop bitterness into it.
Okay.
even it's it's not upfront, but it's there. And when it's really like kind of fading out, I think it's like I'm missing something. But and I would say the same thing for the barley wine. I leave it aged for a couple of years. I find it interesting, but I like it when there's still a good bitterness backbone into it.
Okay, that's solstice d'hiver.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, now that makes sense. And then that's another. I mean, you guys do it so, you make it so fun to learn. Like, I feel like you guys are the best brewery to learn about aging and what that means, because you've got, for so many of your brands, you have the original, then you have a bourbon barrel, different. There's a bourbon version of Solstice and Iseki Micho and all these different other brands. So it's like, it's very cool to be able to, like, all right, well, I mean, maybe it's not, you can't immediately go and buy a 2018 version, but you could probably trade for it or know someone with one, and you'd be able to try these variants of it and just sort of learn what that means. There's not that many breweries, I think, that do that super regularly. You guys have been doing it for such a long time, and I think that's probably why people were so passionate about what you do, and they're so passionate about the branding change and stuff.
Yeah. Well, we really like to work with the barrel, and as we do a lot of strong beer, we have a nice portfolio to work with aging, because those beer are more forgiving when we with the barrel aging.
Yeah.
And we had great time to just sometimes it's fun to add different wild yeast and bacteria into a beer in balance, and we do a lot of that too. But sometimes it's just put the beer in the barrel and let it go, and let's see how it's going to transform the beer. And we learn a lot out of that. So, and we said, okay, this one, and we had a couple of flaws. Well, okay, it's not so interesting. So, and we learned about hope. We learned about, we had some beers. Oh, just man, they just taste like a plank. It's just it's not good. And okay, no, don't do this again. Fail. But yeah, we definitely had, and we don't have a super big place to age barrel, but we have enough to have great time.
Right.
And we know that people like that. So when we see especially when we do our like a beer release, so it's even when it's a small volume, we can get it to the people, because it's sometimes it's hard to, okay, I want to try it on small volume, and okay, if you try to sell it through the specialized retailer, and you don't have enough for everybody, it can be you can create a fight because everybody wants it. So sometimes it's better just, okay, sell it yourself and don't. And I understand them. It's just, and we have they support us all year long. They really important part of the process. So but sometimes I don't want to. The pub gives me that chance to do small batch, but it's really fun to start small. That way you can try more wacky thing, and okay, it's not good, it's no big deal.
Right.
But yeah, when you start with a lot of beer, so that represents a lot of money, so you can afford that.
It's kind of scary. The first time we did the podcast, it was the bottle release in Feb. I think it was February, maybe it was April. It was cold in 2017, and it was February.
It was February.
Okay, I love your memory. And it was The Exorcist. You had all of these crazy things. And dude, I've never seen, that was my first, like, back in the day, like, we were into beer and stuff, but I wasn't, like, lining up for beer and shit. So I'd never seen anything like this before. There was, like, 500 plus people in minus 25. When we were walking inside, there were people trading in their trunks of the cars. There was people coming up and they had all of this. They're like, take this 4-pack of Judy. They were like, it was your beers plus other beers. They were just trading. It was this whole thing. I was like, what is happening? And
that was crazy.
It was rammed in there. And I know we took a couple hours of your time and stuff, and I know you were in demand that day, so I really appreciated that. And we hung out afterwards and had a few beers and some food and stuff, and it was just like, we were like, wow, we had just never seen anything like that before. And it was just super cool because, like you said, you played with wild yeast, you had Exorcist, and I don't remember what else would have been released on the day, but it was multiple bottles. And people had to have tickets and stuff to get in. It was like a whole orchestrated situation, which is probably quite common now, but like at the time, 4 years ago, I'd never seen anything like it before, and it kind of blew my mind.
Now you can see that more often, but when we that beer market is the first year was we didn't know exactly what we were doing, and the second year we had like too many people at the same time.
Right.
So on the third year we were getting good at it.
Getting better at it.
But I was seeing people from all over the place, and trading, and it was big party. Like, and some of those days was fucking cold. Like, whoa, people like, oh man, so
serious, bro.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah,
it's some good times. It was just really fascinating to see the kind of passion that people have for what you guys do, and just it was a nice eye opener to, just the way that the beer world operates as far as like just bottle releases and how popular these things could be, because of, like you said, they're small, and instead of putting them out to a depanneur, you're taking control of it and you're selling. It was so organized. Like it was like, all right, ticket 10 to 30, come through, and it was all numbered tickets, and everyone knew, and they didn't give a shit how cold it was, and like Quebec in the winter is no joke, and it was just fascinating to see what people would do for beer.
Yeah, marketing wise, doing like this event in February wasn't maybe the best idea, but it was just the first time. It was we opened the pub in late January, and we said, okay, this is our anniversary date, and it's about 6 months after the other one. We said, okay, we don't want to do like 2 parties at the same time, or we're getting too old to do that twice in a row. So
it's like
6 months. And then we decided to do like a bottle release at the same time. But we never realized, oh man, February can be like brutal cold. And
people don't care.
Sometimes it's just -5. It's a beautiful winter days. Sometimes it can be raining. Cool. But thinking of that, maybe springtime would have been like this year. We move it more like because for sure we didn't make any party for anniversary, but we moved the bottle release later during springtime, so the weather was nicer because people had to be outside. So we said, okay, let's pick up like a better window than February. It turned out okay.
I love that. It always blew my mind as well that it was like I said, it was like people like, oh, you're gonna go straight to the cask mates? We should talk about that. I'm about to bust open this one. Are you gonna crack open this one as well? And then we'll do the.
I'm already on this one.
Oh, you're already on it. So this is the 2021 version.
Good. I'm pouring another glass
of the bourbon. Yes, do it. So I'm excited. This is the first bottle of the new branding I've cracked personally. Yep. Yes. Oh, look at that. You want to take a photo after the fact? Ooh. Yeah. After? Yeah. So this one you said had a little more oaky characteristics.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably because it stayed a little bit longer in the barrel. We extract a little bit more of the tannin from the oak. So right now my bottle is a little bit warm, but I know when the beer is cold, for me I get a little bit. I definitely get more oak character than the last year version.
The last year, okay.
Yeah. So it's not like super oaky, but it's just you get okay. I get more of the wood character in this one than the other one.
Will that tone down over time? Do you think
it will turn down slowly? And I would say vanilla character is not as strong as it was last year also. And
vanilla
it will
wasn't
not
strong?
come back for sure. Yeah.
No. Why is that? Do you think is that just the type of barrels that were used, or?
No, because it was basically the same distiller. Both barrel was super fresh. I think it's just by the timing of the beer.
Okay.
This is and probably next year we're gonna try to probably like take the beer out like a month before. I would say this is our guess.
A little earlier. Would that reduce the oaky character? Okay.
That would be get a bit more of the vanilla, a bit less oaky.
Okay. Okay. And the decision to make this year's pack still going? We're doing all the photos. To make it all bourbon, I mean, I guess that was because of the fact that you weren't doing the variants, but you just thought we need to put a pack out as opposed to just putting this beer out by itself. You were like, well, we need to put...
We could sell it single for sure, but yeah, we wanted to keep the
the pack,
the vibe of the Péché Day. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's keep people's faith on. And this is what we decide to do. Okay, what we do? Okay, that's 4 beer in a pack, and people, because we know that when people get a pack, they have 4 bottles. So yeah, they can go through in one night. It's going to be maybe a tough morning, but but with 4 beer, you have several to go through. So this is why we decided to go through like a 4-pack of it.
Okay. I've had like some followers from BAOS. There's this one gentleman who lives in St. Jerome, Francois, shouts to you, bro. He sent me multiple pictures of every time he's picked this up like 3 or 4 times, and he's just like, need another pack, I need another one. He's just loving it. And I feel like this was a very good move to do this, because even though I've been every year since I've been aware of it, I've been going to Péché and drinking all of the variants live. I just enjoyed having the pack because it gave me a second chance to taste everything. And then I think it was not the 2020 but the 2019 pack. I got 2 of them, so I drank one fresh and I drank one like a year later, just to see how it changed, because I had the mocha, I had the raspberry, there was another one in the bourbon. And I enjoyed just seeing how they changed in just a year's time. I thought that was super cool. So I'd hung on to this one for a year. I don't know why. I just happened to do. My friend actually got this for me because I couldn't get it. You mentioned people were lining. I wasn't able to find it anywhere. So he found it and got it for me. So I was super happy to get it. And I just hung on to it. Maybe by the time I got it, it was kind of hot. So I was like, I don't really want to drink 10% stouts just yet, and just sat on it. And I'm glad I did, because I'd much rather drink them with you than by myself here. But I just think the pack is like an experience that is tied to the beer, that's tied to the day. And without the pack, it doesn't feel complete. So the fact that you're able to do this 2021, even if it's all the same beer, it still gives you that same feeling, because it's the same size box. And it's the 4 bottles. And bourbon, like I said, I love the variants and it's really fun. But if I'm honest, bourbon's my favorite. So to have 4 of these bad boys, like, I'm going to drink some, but I'm going to now stash some and try them over the next couple of years and see how they change, because it's something that I normally wasn't able to do because I only got 1 bourbon in the pack. And of course I'm going to drink that. I'm not going to let it sit there. Now I have the availability to do that, and I think that's what you've done. You've allowed people to now learn about aging. Maybe that was that intention?
Well, for sure that the fact that people can buy more than 1 bottle, they can definitely, they don't have to drink it like in the next week. And you can, if you have like a good place to stash the beer, and you definitely can because I told you my preference on this beer, but it can be totally different. Other people they can like it after 3 or 5 years when the beer is totally different, and it's perfect.
Yeah.
I know that, like I said, I know the beer is still good because I taste very old version and I taste the beer, and you know what, it's still good. It's just
Yeah.
I prefer when it's younger, but and what happened, because we didn't keg the bourbon to ship it like in 80 different bar around the world. Well, we keep it for ourselves in Quebec. So,
So you
I
got
live in
more.
BC. Yeah. So
So,
cool.
BC get the packs?
Yeah, we shipped a couple of packs in BC. Yeah.
I love that. BC, go buy them. It's amazing. Okay, that's great. It's just like a cool way to. Excuse me. I feel like it's like a good. It's not a pivot, but it's a good way to make it work, given the circumstances, and give people a taste of what they're used to. Whilst it's similar. It's like familiarity, but also something a little different. And as soon as I saw that you did this and it was all bourbon, my immediate response was like, hell yeah, that's a great idea. Like, it wasn't even like, oh, why are you doing that? Shouldn't you have that? I'm like, nah, I was like, fuck yes, that is perfect. And it's a great way to just honor the day and give people, I imagine it's probably the most, the beer that, like I said, the variants are really fun and it's so cool tasting the different ones, but this is really what people are waiting for. I imagine, right?
Well, absolutely. And we always know we keep some bottle that we sell in bottle here and there through the year, but and we know people definitely looking for this beer. So yeah, this year was just like I said, we figured out, okay, maybe we could do like a best of, or like the variation we did. But even though it would be a lot of work in the timing where I cannot, try the beer in Saint Jerome, and so we had to brew it right away and make sure it's good, and with all the rebranding, say, but I don't want to do something that will not be happy with it. So, and the safest shot for us and for the customer and people like this beer, okay, you know what? This year we have a lot of bourbon because we keep it for ourselves. Well, okay, let's have a treat.
I love that.
Before bourbon.
That's exactly what it is. It's a goddamn treat. That's exactly what it is, bro. I love it. I'm very grateful that that's what you did, because I'm sure a lot of the beer drinkers here in Quebec and BC who have access to this are super happy about it. So the bottle of whiskey you just held up, the Jameson there, that is something fascinating that you guys did. I actually never tried either version. I don't know why. Can you tell us about this collaboration, how it came about, and what it's all about? Because this is fascinating.
And when it's going to be possible, I'll make sure that you have like a sip of that for sure.
Yes, I definitely need to try it.
Actually, it's Jameson contact us and ask us if we want to participate to the castmate, and we knew the project, and we said, yeah, it's for sure. It seemed to be very fun, and for us, it was a chance to travel in Ireland, which always like a good thing.
Hell yeah!
And learn a lot also about distilling and spirit, because it's Jameson is it's part of a big group named Irish Distiller. They do a lot of different Irish whiskey. They do a lot of stuff. So it was like a really good way to learn about whiskey. And so yeah, we said, let's do it. So, and we talked with Steve Beauchesne at BAOS. They did the castmate too, and said, hey man, how was it? He said, man, it was super fun. Okay, let's do it. And so all right, so we moved on this project. They shipped us some barrel. We aged the beer in it. Shipped back the barrel in Ireland. They put the whiskey in it, and and then send the bottle back in Quebec. Sadly, again, damn COVID. They kind of released the whiskey in the same time of the lockdown. So so because we were planning to do the big party, you can imagine,
of course,
can party, we can throw.
Yeah.
And but yeah, so everything was in the ACQ. It sold out very quickly. So even ourselves, we have a couple of bottles, but not that much actually. So yeah, this is how it happened. We've been able to get like another run of barrel. We did a second run of the Péché Jameson, because the Péché Jameson have a really different character than the bourbon. It's a lot less vanilla. It's a bit more sweet and caramel, I would say.
Okay.
Kind of fruity. It's really different. So, and we're pretty happy about the Péché Jameson, and also we had funny story. Jameson sent us, before the package and had the label, they sent us like a bottle of the blend, trying to approve it, if we can say it. And so we tasted, and definitely it's a great Jameson. It's really tasty. You get a little bit of the coffee, but it's definitely one of the castmates. I'm pretty happy about the result.
Okay, good.
And one day, Bim was in town. Bim from
Godspeed.
you know Bim, but
of course, yeah.
from Godspeed. He was in town to brew Natsuno Taizai, the lager version of our Imperial Coffee Stout.
Yes.
And we were chilling down at the pub, and it was kind of late. He arrived like the day before Montreal, spent some time at Cheval Blanc. We brewed, and he was like having a train at 6 in the morning, I think, or 7 maybe. And it was kind of late, and said, okay, I have to go back to the hotel. And all right, I have a sample of the Jameson in the office, so want to taste it. Okay, just a sip.
Famous last words.
Famous, exactly. So actually, he didn't sip at all. He just had the time to go back directly to the train station. So to say it was pretty drinkable.
I love it. That's amazing.
So I'll make sure when the thing's gonna be clear. So I'll make sure, I'll be able to taste that.
Man. I definitely missed out on the first one. Yeah, I'd love to, because I know there was that, and then for people who don't know, there was a Jameson version of Péché with the little green on the label. So there's going to be a second run of the Jameson Péché?
No, the second been sold already.
Okay.
Yeah,
but
we sold it.
Okay, but then there's going to be a Péché Jameson available.
There will not be a second Péché Jameson for now.
For now, but there's going to...
They did one run, so we offered them. So okay, you see how fast it sold out, but right now I think with the pandemic also they're kind of focusing on the simple thing, I would say, and we're looking maybe try to do like a third run of the Péché Jameson. It would be nice because they're really different from the bourbon, so it's
right
more than I was expecting, to be honest.
Okay. No, I think it's just such a great collab because, and I imagine that Jameson as a brand isn't collaborating with just anybody. It's quite a very small circle, if anybody, that they're really working with. So I feel like that's a real testament to what you've created with Péché and the legend behind this beer and the worldwide fascination with it for a brand and a literal name a country where you can't find Jameson type of thing. These guys wanted to work with you on not only your product but their product. That is the coolest shit ever, dude. It's such a fantastic thing that you've been able to do this.
It was definitely doing both ways, and And I selling Jameson since the day one we won the pub in Montreal.
Yeah.
So he was going, oh, so finally I'll go to the distillery.
Yeah. That would have been cool.
And and we did definitely. We learned a lot. We taste so many different whiskey and directly from the barrel, and it was pretty impressive.
Like the 100 proof stuff, like woo.
Yeah, 10 in the morning. Like the oldest one, it was like a 95 whiskey. It was recast, I think, in 2006, something like that. It was funny because there was one girl there. She was younger, actually, than the whiskey.
Yo, that is crazy.
But yeah, it was like 10 in the morning, and okay, one taste that. And actually, you know what? It was good.
Yeah. At 10 in the morning, fuck, man. Yeah, that is... I've done distillery tours, and I've never realized, like, that barrel proof is a whole other thing. We were in Colorado a couple of years ago, and we went to the Breckenridge distillery, and they gave us, we got the tour, and they poured it from the barrel, and then they had to get this water thing where they're squirting the water in there to dilute it down, so it's... I just never seen that before, because otherwise it'll basically set you on fire type of thing. And I was like, oh, wow, this is very serious shit. Like, it's a whole other... I'm used to beer, man. Like, I'm a beer guy. This liquor thing is a whole other world. So I can imagine what that would have been like at 10 a.m.
Yeah. I don't drink that much liquor, to be honest. I'm really... Whiskey and scotch, I really like that. It's... but yeah, I'm mostly beer too. So, but
it's fascinating, yeah.
Exactly. It's just you learn from every experience you're going to go through, and you put this in the bag and say, okay. But to be right there and be able to drink so many different whiskey, and they explain the process between they have the traditional still and the continuous still, and how they blend it, and you see the proportion between both style of distilling, and you taste the whiskey, and you definitely get, oh, okay, I can feel the difference on the mouth feel, so you understand a lot of things. So when there's so many like new craft distiller in Quebec now, so even if they're doing mostly gin and stuff like this, it's okay, I have more understanding of what's going on. So it's been a really, really great trip.
That's awesome, man.
Actually, I could say 2 years ago I was in a train going down to the distillery today, because 2 years been 2 years that the Notre-Dame de Paris burned down, and I was in the train from Dublin to the Jameson distillery when it happened.
Jeez, that was 2 years ago. Fuck.
2 years ago, yeah.
Matt, honestly, I don't think any of us have any concept of time anymore. I think we're all just like... It's like, I don't even know. We don't even remember. It's all kind of like this blurry thing. It's so crazy. Before my camera dies, I want to take the thumbnail for this episode.
Yep.
I'm just going to take a screenshot. Do you want to hold up something? And I'm going to take a screenshot of... I'm going to hold these bad boys so people know. Yes. Oh, shoot. I should have done this first. There we go. Boom. There you go. Perfect. You ready? Oh, look at us, mate. We are gorgeous. Oh, that is stunning. I'm going to send that... sending that to Layla. No, dude, this has been really, really great. This is like, you know, obviously I would much rather do this in person with you and hang out at the brewery and do it again. But this was the next best thing, and I was thinking about it. And I was just like, I hesitated to reach out. I wanted to talk to you when you did the rebrand and all this different stuff. And I was like, I just wanted to do it in person. I thought this was all going to move faster than it did. And I was like, you know what? Let me hit you guys up and talk to Layla and see if you guys would be down. So I really appreciate your time, man. Like, I always enjoy whenever I come to the pub. It's always so nice to see you, and it's always lovely to get to chat. And you always give me a ton of time, and I've always appreciated everything you've ever done, man. Like, you're a great dude, your brewery has meant a lot to me. It's one of my favorites in Quebec, and you've really changed my perception of craft beer. And it's just, you know, I love hearing all of this about Péché and the experience and the way that it's grown, even since the last time we chatted on here. You know, 4 years.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy. It was a great evening. So, for sure, I would prefer it if we did like in person too. So, and sometimes I have some people ask me to do this, and I'm kind of fed up of the camera. But for you, anytime. So it's just.
I appreciate you, man. Like, it means a lot, and you know, like I said, we'll do this again once things get back to normal. We'll do it properly. But this is. Who knows how long this shit is going to last? That's the only thing. So I was like, you know what? I wanted to just hear it from your mouth and hear about the changes and what's been happening. 4 years is a long time, and for having Judicial 4 years, it's unacceptable. Unacceptable, goddammit. So I needed to make sure we chatted.
No problem. Keep the faith. We'll see us soon. I'm gonna have some Jameson for you.
No, I appreciate it, man. Do that. Before we wrap up, stick around on the call. We'll say goodbye after. I'm just going to wrap this up. Where can everybody, do you know off the top of your head, without Layla being here, where can everybody find Judicial online?
Online?
Yes.
You mean on my website?
The website? Do you know what the website is?
Yeah, it's simple. It's judicial.com. So
oh, easy.
And easy. But
on Instagram, Facebook.
We do have Instagram. I know it's Leila is posting a lot on Instagram, and Facebook is our fastest way to have fresh information.
Yes, I think it's Brasserie Judicial in both places. Oh, there goes my camera.
I think so.
Yeah, pretty sure. Pretty sure that's what it is. So make sure you guys go and check that. Oh, here you go. Tiff just confirmed. Brasserie Judicial on Instagram and Facebook. So make sure you guys check that out. Let me wrap this up. Hang out for 1 sec, and then we'll wrap up. But JF, man, thank you again for your time, bro. I really, really appreciate you as always. This is phenomenal. You are a friggin' champion. Guys, if you enjoyed the episode, smash the thumbs up, hit subscribe below, hit the notification bell so you know when all the new videos drop. Follow us on social media at BAOS Podcast, and check out the long form audio so you can hear fucking legends like Jean-Francois talk about craft beer every week. We'll see you tomorrow at 9 p.m., guys. Get in here. Cheers. Where's the mouse? There it is.